Hi, welcome back to this Avaricium tutorial series. Uh, we're going to be talking about this final neutral piece and final piece overall, and it's the farm. Okay, so up until this point, I didn't really talk about how how an actual game would work, and I said each player would take turns, right? But how about, how many actions per turn would each player take? Okay. Uh, so in some sense, that is dictated by this final piece, farms. Um, uh, so, um, by the way, you might have noticed that we're using a bigger board here. So this is what we call a size 6 board because, we have kind of 6 tiles on every side. Okay. So generally in a game of Avaricium, we by default have a certain amount of actions. In a 2-player game, by default, you have 4 actions. Okay, so each player gets 4 actions per turn, right? And then that could actually be increased by how many farms are beside your nobility. Okay, so here's how it works. So what we do is we count kind of all the farms right here. See, like this. Okay. So in this case, what you do is you count 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 farms beside all of the blue nobility. What does that mean? So for every 2 farms, you get another extra action. So the farms are counted at the start of your turn, right? So again, in a 2-player game, you have 4 base actions, and then plus another, and in this case, plus another 2. Plus another one action for every 2 farms beside your nobility. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 farms, which means that we get 2 bonus actions. Okay. So in this case, we get 6 actions per turn. So if it was blue's turn right now, blue would get 6 actions. Okay. If we take away 1 farm, right, blue would only get 5 actions. Okay. We don't count half turns. Like a farm doesn't give you, sorry, we don't count half actions. A farm does not give you a single farm, won't give you a bonus, like an extra half action. It's only 2 would give 1. Okay. And also within my turn, if I build more farms, that doesn't count towards this turn. So the amount of farms that you have, are only counted at the start of your turn. You could also kind of, you could share farms with your opponents. That's okay. It counts towards, your actions. It counts towards their actions. You noticed here, these 2, of course, we don't count this farm twice. What else should I say? Farms connected by roads are counted. This does count. Yeah, this is good. Okay, this farm still counts even if this nobility is frozen. Okay, It just means this nobility, you know, can't make any actions, but that's okay. You know, this farm still counts for blue. Okay. So what else? We have we talked about the board size. Okay. So the board size is uh, 6 in this case. Okay. And yeah, so the board size is 6, and it happens that we're also going to have a maximum number of actions that you could have in general. So, and that depends on the board size. Okay, so you know, here, let's say it would seem that I get 7 actions per turn because I have 6 farms near me, right, as blue. But the board size is 6, so that is kind of your top limit. That's actually part of the reason why I increased the board size to 6. So you know, you might recall that we had a size 4 board before, and in that case, you know, with 4 base actions, there would be no point in building any farms. Right? So in this case, there's no point in building farm, you know, more than 4 farms for yourself, unless, you know, you're maybe afraid that you'll lose some of them. Okay. Yeah. So I did say that you get 4 base actions, but that's for a 2-player game. Okay. You could have up to 6 players in Avaricium. Okay. Here are all the colors. Right. Let's get a nicer piece. There we go. You could have up to six players. So if you play with more than two at all, any amount more than 2, the number of base actions that you get is actually 3. So in this case, let's say we don't have these. In this case, blue, you know, here there's 4 farms, so blue would get 3 base actions and plus another 2 extra actions for these 4 farms. Okay. Okay. So what do we have here? So you know, there's a bunch of nobilities, and wait 1 second. There's a bunch of nobilities, and some of them are supposed to be armies. So let's change that. It's this and this. These are supposed to be armies. Yes, there we go. Okay. Well, so here, the idea is that we're going to try to figure out how many actions you know, each player should get this next turn. So let's start with the blue player. Okay, try to figure out how many actions the blue player will, you know, if it's the blue player's turn, how many actions they get. So if you don't know, then go ahead and pause the video. Okay, I'm gonna tell you that it's 5 actions. So try to figure out why. Okay, and so pause the video if you want to take a moment to think about it for yourself. But okay, here's the reasoning. So because this is a 3-player game, at least a 3-player game, you know, blue gets 3 base actions, and then blue is beside 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 farms, but really that only gives you 2 extra actions, right? So, for every 2, you get 1 extra action. So that means that 3 base actions plus 2 more is 5. It doesn't matter that you're frozen. That's okay. You still get actions there. Okay. So how about for red? Try to figure out how many actions red gets next turn. Okay. So the answer, so pause if you won't need more time, but the answer is 4. You could try to pause and figure out why, but here's the reasoning. The reason is, 1, so through the road, that counts. 2, farms that you're beside. Okay, these 2 don't count because this is an army. Okay, only nobility could get farms. Could get actions from farms. So why is it 4? Because it's a 3-player game, so this is 3 base actions plus 1 for each farm. That's it. Okay. Next, for the green player. So if you haven't figured it out yet, then go ahead and pause the video, but I'm going to tell you it's 6. If you need a minute to think about it, pause the video again, but here's the reason why. So you could see there's lots of farms beside the green, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It doesn't matter that this one's frozen. But out of all those 10, why do you only get 6 actions next turn? Well, you might think, oh, you should get 5 bonus actions plus 3 base actions, right? So it should be 8, but no. You know why? Because the board size is 6. So you can only get up to 6, okay? Because the board size is 6. So it depends on the board size. In Avaricium, we could play up to, size 10 boards. So in that case, the limit would be higher, but here, only 6. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, so there we have it. Okay, so what do we have here? It's so this image helps clarify a few things. So for example, the starting positions of all the players is here, and the other thing is, well, look, it's kind of not fair if like one player just goes first, right, and doesn't get any handicap for it. So as a result, one thing we do is there's each player gets a different amount of actions on the first turn. Okay. So in a 2-player game, we talked about each player having 4 base actions, right? So you get the first player actually only gets 2 actions on the first turn, and the second player then gets 4 actions, and so on. In a 3-player game, the first player gets 1 action, then the second player gets 2, third player gets 3, and so on, right? Another thing you might notice is that, so see here, so this little house right here is a, represents a town. This is number 1 represents the player 1 nobility, right? So you start off with the town and nobility, and then the second player starts off with a, town nobility, right? You could see in a 4 and a 6-player game, certain players sometimes get a bonus nobility right here. So, we could have different board sizes, not just 6 or whatever, right? Like is drawn over here. So where is that bonus nobility? It's always kind of 2 steps away from the initial nobility, right? And it's towards the center. right? Yeah. So so this is kind of like, you could think of this as almost like half an action. It's this bonus nobility. It's like, it's for balancing, right? Because you could see, for example, in a 6-player game, player 1 and player 2, they get the same amount of actions, but player 2 gets a bonus nobility over here. Okay. Right. Another thing you might notice about this image is the board size. Okay. So this is kind of shows the minimum board size that you could play. With like amounts of players. So you could play smaller boards, right? But what happens is that you get into situations where a player could lose before they even make a turn, make a move. So that's why these are kind of the recommended minimum board sizes right here. Okay. Yeah. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go kind of see an example, a small example of a 4-player game, and what first kind of round of turns might look like. Okay. So here we have, our setup for 4 players. We're going to have 3 base actions per turn, right? And then we're going to go, the first player is going to get 1 action, then 2, then 2, then 3. So, just for simplicity, I'm going to make everyone build farms. Okay. For their first turn. So let's say, player 1 might build a farm. Player 2, could build 2 farms, right? Because they get 2 actions per turn. Player 3 can get 2 farms, and player 4, if they want, can get 3 farms like this, because they get 3 actions per turn. And now, from this point on, everyone gets 3 base actions. So, for example, player 1 can build, I don't know, 3 farms. Player 2, if they want. Player 2 actually has 4 actions, so let's make them do something different. So why 4 actions? Because now they have, two farms around. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then player 3, has 4 actions. Then player 4 has 4 actions, and so on. Of course, these players, they didn't defend themselves very well, and we could see that player 4 will just lose this turn because they'll get frozen. So that's too bad. Okay, so I guess I did, and then player 4 loses. So the idea is that once you have a turn where you can't change the board during your turn, you just you lose, and that's it. So your pieces could remain there. If you have armies, they could keep freezing people. If you have player-specific guards, they could prevent things from being destroyed during other people's turns. But there's no way to win. You lost. Even if you get unfrozen, like you can't move your pieces at all. Okay. Okay. And as soon as all but one player have lost, then the game ends. Yeah. So that's basically Avaricium for you. You now know all the rules. So this full tutorial with all its parts is 100 puzzles, and we've done 86 of them. So the last 14 are kind of a little bit more optional, but they'll help you understand the strategies and yeah. So yeah. So but there's no more new rules from here. So if you want to stop watching at this point, and then that's okay too. But we're gonna keep on going. Okay, so let's say here we are playing a 2-player game. Even though we don't see red, and we're just gonna keep making turns, right? So it's a 2-player game, and let's say that we're going first. And let's say, for example, we want to get to this red X. The question is, how many turns, the same turns, does it take to get to the red X? And are there different ways to get there? Okay, so try to figure out how many turns it takes. Pause if you need to. Okay, so I'm going to tell you that it takes 3 turns. Okay, so let's try to do it a different number of ways. So one way, is to just go there to. So first turn. So because we're going first, we only get 2 actions, 1, 2. Right. Okay. Second turn, we're gonna do 1, 2. We have 4 actions, 3, 4. Okay, and then 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3 turns overall. Yeah. Okay. And we could have also so I kind of did this pattern of like nobility town. Could have also just built a bunch of roads. That's fine. Okay. Another thing we could have done is first turn, build 2 farms, right? And then we would get 5 actions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the second turn, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. Okay. Alternatively, maybe we could have, built 2 farms in the first turn. Okay. Second turn, build 2 farms. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then could have gone on the third turn all the way to the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. Okay. In any case, it's going to take us 3 turns, and there's no point in building any more farms, of course, because the limit is 6 actions per turn. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so here's this next challenge. So I'm gonna say, look, we want a nobility with a build range of 4. Build range of 4. A nobility, could be the same one, could be a different one, with a build range. Sorry, with a destroying range of 4. So build range of 4, destroying range of 4. And everything we built, I want it to be all walled in. Okay, so just walled in with a wall. So that's, honestly, that's pretty powerful. And I'm going to say that, we're going second this time. So that means that, we get, and it's a 2-player game, second and a 2-player game, which means that we get 4 actions at the start. So, and, every other turn, of course. So you could try to, try to figure that out. Okay. So if you want, pause the video. But okay, so here's my way of doing it. There might be other ways of doing it. So how many actions does it take? How about how many turns does it take? How about I say that? So it takes 3 turns. Okay. So if you haven't done it in 3 turns, try to do it in 3 turns. But here's my solution. So first turn we go 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then I guess I'm gonna start building mercenaries. Okay, 4. Then I'm gonna go. So I could either do another nobility, or I could do a road. I'm gonna do a road. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then so that's 2 turns so far, right? And then my last turn is, of course, gonna be this wall around us. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So if if people let you build that around yourself, that's scary. That's yeah, yeah. This is great. It's controls the map really well. Okay. Okay. So here, so another one of these. So the idea is that we want a piece in every corner over here. Okay. So you're 2-player game, and we're gonna go second, which means that we have 4 actions on the first turn. So pause the video, try to figure it out. But yeah, here's the solution, or solutions, I guess. Okay. I guess I'll do it with roads this time, because I did it with alternating nobility. And so there's a couple ways to go about this. So one thing we could do is we could do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have 5 build range because of this one. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. And we could have also done this, with kind of like like a house in between anywhere, or house nobility. This works. It's the same effect. Okay, same amount of actions. We'll stick with this, and we'll talk a bit about getting actions. So the thing is, if on the first turn, if we went and built 2 farms like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, then what we're doing is we're kind of sacrificing 2 actions that could go towards our goal. But now we get an extra action per turn. Okay. So we're kind of in debt 2 actions right now, right? Well, then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now, but now we made an extra action this turn, right? So we're kind of in debt only 1 action. And then we go 1, 2. Wait, hold on. Sorry. My bad. 1, 2, 3, 4. First turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Second turn. Here we go. So now we're only in debt 1 action. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's the same result because after 2 turns, right, we kind of recovered our loss on the building the 2 farms. Okay. However, if we spent all our actions building farms the first turn, then it would actually for every farm we build, right? Wait, how would that work? Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're in debt by 4, and then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like this, right? So we're in debt by 4. We're in debt by 4 actions at first, and now we're only in debt by 2 because we built these 2, and then we go 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're at the same place that we would have been otherwise, except we have except we would have except we have kind of 6 actions instead of 4 for the rest of the game. Yeah. So yeah, just a bit of idea of like how we could analyze like kind of investing in farms and like how long it takes for it to kind of pay itself back. Okay, so here's the next challenge. So we want to we're going to want 3 nobilities. Okay. One is going to have a build range of 3, at least 3. Another is going to have a destroying range of at least 3. And the third one is going to have a unit creation range. So going to have at least 3 barracks. Okay. And then the other requirement is that we want each of them to be guarded by a different player-specific guard. Okay, so a separate player-specific guard for each of them. Okay, so that's the challenge. Okay, and see how many turns it takes. Okay, so pause the video if you need to. But it turns out this takes 4 turns. So let's try it together, I guess. So I guess we're gonna make first time we try it, let's make this the build range nobility. Okay, so we're gonna give it 3 build range, I guess. Maybe we'll spread out our okay. I didn't mention if we're going first or second, did I? But okay, so let's say that we're going. Let's say that we're going first. That was the idea originally. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. But so since we're going first, we only have 2 actions on our first turn. So if we did it with going second, maybe try it again with going first. So that means we only have 2 actions on our first turn. Okay. So here we go. So 1, 2 is our first action. Sorry, our first turn. Okay, second turn will be, well, I guess 1, 2. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna start uh, giving each nobility things. So 3, 4, right? So all within range of this nobility. Then I'm going to do this 1, uh, 2, 3, 4, and then our final turn. Okay, fourth turn is just going to be 1. So using this 2, 3, I guess, for giving them all separate player-specific cards. Okay, just like that. This isn't necessarily practical. You could figure out what's practical in games. I guess let's try to do it with some farms. So what if we used farms? So for example, what if we put 2 farms at the start? So 2 farms at the start would be 1, 2 is our first turn. So second turn has 5 actions. So let's do this 1, 2, let's say 3, 4, 5. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, we could have done this instead, I guess, just to like abide by the rules instead, right? Of so our last turn, 1, 2, 3, something like that. Okay, which is great because we have a bunch of actions left over. Or I mean, we have more actions kind of going forward. Yeah, not necessarily, I'm not claiming this is what you want to do in game, but good exercise. Just kind of managing everything here. Let's see if we could do it with getting a lot of farms at the start. So it would be 1, 2, then 1, 2. I guess we could use a road. 3, 4, 5. It's kind of feeling like we're going to be using a lot of actions, right? We just invested 3 actions into this, so maybe it won't work. So say 1, I guess I'll put 1, 2, um, 3, 4, 5. Is in range? Uh-oh. Maybe we'll put this here. It's gonna work, right? Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Oh, this doesn't have to be arranged, really. Just have to. We just have to give this one. Okay, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is our final turn, and there we go. We have we have a nobility with a build range of 3, 3 towns. This one has 3 um, 3 barracks. This one has 3 mercenaries, and they all have a player-specific guard around them. So I hope you enjoyed this kind of puzzle set, if you could call it that. Okay, so see you in the next one.